So the question we want to look at is whether education affects cognitive scores and wages. Write YI as the outcome. For historical reasons, I call AI the education. So that's our education outcome. So in this case, it's going to be whether the kids attend secondary school or not. A dummy variable equal 1, whether the kids attend secondary school or not. And Y is earnings or cognitive scores. I'm going to do it with both cognitive scores and earnings. And I'm not willing to make the assumption that that epsilon I is independent of AI. That's the big difference between the setting we have now and what we looked at before. Because in there is an omitted variable problems. I don't have the variable, which is ability or spunk or network connections or whatever goes with the background. So in the absence of that, I know that if I estimated this equation, it would be biased. Beta would be biased. One note, this assumes that the effect of education is the same on all people, on everybody. So there is a coefficient beta. We may not like this assumption because education might be more effective for some people than some others. So we'll discuss how to interpret IV when that assumption is not correct in a bit later in this lecture. But this is a model that should be familiar after all the econometrics we've seen. And we're really interested in a causal estimate of beta. So what did we do? We went to Ghana, where primary and junior high school are free. Then there is a big gateway exam after junior high school. And you can only go to secondary school if you qualify. But in addition, it's very expensive. So it goes from, you go from free primary and junior high to very expensive secondary school for people who qualify. So what we did is we went to a bunch of kids who had qualified but had not enrolled by September. And we could know that by looking at, going back to all the junior high school where they attended and find out information about them. This were a big set of kids who had qualified for secondary school but didn't go. And it's pretty common in Ghana to show up late in secondary school, to show up in January instead of September, because you manage to gather the money. So what we did is we went to see them in September and say, hey, so we took a sample of about 3,000 kids, and we randomly selected about 1,000 of them, and we went to say, hey, if you want, we have a scholarship for you to go to secondary school. For your, which is going to cover the 4 years of secondary school. So I want to call this variable ZI, which is dummy equal to 1 if you are assigned to the treatment group and were offered a scholarship, and 0 otherwise. So this Z1 is randomly assigned because we randomly selected in our little office who we would go with saying, hi, can we collect some data about you? Or hi, can we collect some data about you? And then, oh, by the way, we have a scholarship for you. And then what we did is that we followed them. So we did that in 2008. And we've been following them since then. So first, we had to wait till they left school, which they did in 2012. And then since 2013, we've been interviewing them regularly, both the losers of the scholarship, the people who didn't get it, and the winners. So getting the scholarship does not translate into a one-to-one relationship between going to school, because most of people who got the scholarship did go to secondary school, but not everyone. Some of them, by that time, decided that they were not interested anymore. And on the other side, a bunch of the kids who didn't get the scholarship managed to find some other way to pay for secondary school, so they cobbled the money together, or they got some other scholarships or something like that. So what we have here, and that's going to be the structure of the table for a lot of today, is we are looking at boys and girls separately, and we are looking at their outcomes. So this is the average, the sample average in the treatment group, in the control group, the difference with the standard error, sample average for the treatment group, control group, the difference with the standard error. And what you see is that, so first of all, it's not going to mean anything to you, but give me a moment of admiration for the fact that we found back 97% of the kids in 2013. We found back 97% of the kids that we had identified in 2008. And remember, adolescents are mobile because this is the moment where they will leave and go work elsewhere. So that was a pretty good tracking rate. It's important because when you don't track people, especially not equally, the people who remain are not necessarily representative of the initial population. Okay, so here we don't have that problem, so we can now forget about it. And then we can see that 78% of the treatment group ever enrolled to secondary school, and only 45% of the control group, of the treatment group. 58% of the treatment group completed primary school, 24% of the control group completed primary school. So that gives us a difference of about 33% for the women and 38% for the men, similarly. You see that more women didn't go even though they got the scholarship than men. And almost all the boys basically took a chance to get the scholarships. So we get this difference. And this is really the causal effect of getting the scholarship and going to secondary school, because that was randomly assigned. So that's nice.